Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Fawn.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's Herschel Fawn from High School Top 200, and this is the Monday Morning Meeting podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back and having another week of this. If you want to follow all my socials, it's on hstop200.com is the website, and that's for a $5 subscription. Please sign up to the website and you'll get all the rankings and stuff like that, and we change every single week, so you'll get new rankings every single week. You get articles and stuff like that I'll write up myself. Also on Facebook, it's just High School Top 200, at the real HS Top 200 on Instagram, and then on TikTok it's HS Top 200. Like and follow, comment, all that kind of stuff, just to get the content going and the viewership and all that kind of stuff up. I don't really like asking for this stuff, it's just what they do, so I just do it as well. But if you really want to follow, then follow. If you don't, then that's cool, it's whatever. I didn't do a Monday morning meeting last week, and that was because I understand that the way that I talk and the way that I pause and the way that I phrase things, and that's all just because that's just the way that I talk. I don't vary from the way that I speak in real life to like a voice that I have like on here. Like I just talk the same. Like if I have a conversation with you at a game, I'll just be talking to you like this. And so like all those pauses and stuff like that, I do that just so that I can say exactly what I want to say and not really try and just throw in words to like pretty up what I'm trying to explain or to get across to you. I just say it the way that I say it, and I say it purposely the way that I say it too. So like if I'm pausing, I'm thinking of the way that I really want to say something. But I also understand that people don't want to listen to that sometimes. Obviously, that's why I have the backing music and all that kind of stuff, to take away some of that kind of dead air that you get, dead silence that you get. But I think, because I know that kids don't listen to this. Not a lot of kids listen to this, because the attention span for kids is not really a thing. So, and some of us adults are the same as well. Like scrolling has become something that's new to like my generation of people, and it was never a thing back then. And even some of us have low interest in things that take time to build up and to grow. And my Monday morning meetings and podcasts are kind of like that. Is that like there's a lot of I do a lot of talking. I try and explain it as much as I can just to let it go, but sometimes people don't want to hear it. People just want some quick hits sometimes. So I thought I will leave this as is, and then I'll still do this because I know that some people listen to this on the way to work and whatever when they're at work sometimes. And people overseas listen to the same thing too, and they want to know about their school and what's going on. So I'm going to leave this as is, but then throughout the week, I'm going to do little segments that are like 2 minutes or 5 minutes, things like that, answer questions, and I'll do that like on my TikTok and on my Instagram. I won't do it on my YouTube. I'll leave that for this, and also like the games that I upload from the games that I attend, I just put them on my YouTube as well. And so like I'll come up with different stuff. So I'll have one separate from my Instagram, and I'll have one separate from my TikTok as well. And then it would just be there just for like different kind of content. One thing that I did want to talk about was that we're just going through like some of the games throughout the week, because I went to a few games this week. I went to the Cambridge High School versus Maunganui, which was like an exchange, like a school exchange. I also went to the Hamilton Girls High School and Auckland Girls game. Eggs came down here to Hamilton and played Hamilton Girls, and I think this is Hamilton Girls' this was their first hit out that they've had, because they get in a new turf field as well, and so like they don't really have a field, so they played at Old Boys. And then I went to Otahuhu and Howick, and then I went to Sacred and Kings. And so like I want to quickly go through that. I don't want to take too long on this, only because like now I'm a bit self-conscious about what I talk, but I definitely won't be talking for that long, or hopefully not anyway. But with the first game that I went to with Cambridge and Maunganui, and I think this is where I need to bring. I forgot to put up my first week team of the week. So like I started off with the second one. I just forgot that we had the first one. But definitely, Harper Davison will be on there. Like he scored 4 tries in that Cambridge game. And I think like if you look on my Instagram, I don't know if anyone saw how long it took to get their first try, but surely that was only like 4 or 5 seconds, something like that, maybe 6 seconds. And I don't know what the record is, but it was pretty close. Like I thought it was like so fast, just the way that happened. But in the game, obviously Harper was probably like the main guy, obviously scoring 4 tries. And I think sometimes like when we think about these kind of games, like we think about them and we sort of compare them too much to a level that they're not playing on. Like obviously Cambridge and Maunganui are not Hamilton Boys, King's College or like that, but what these teams do have are players like Harper. I really like Jack James as well. I thought he had a good game. Mikey Tahiri, James, who was like the first 5, or who was the number 8 for Maunganui. Like some of these guys are like such good players that they should be in some of these top teams. Like I think that's the thing that we kind of forget, is just like, yeah, as a team they're not Hamilton Boys, but if you take out some of these individuals, they belong in some of those teams. They're at that level and talent level of some of these teams, and I think those kind of guys are at like the first 5, Morley, Maz Morley, I think his name was, him and Luca from Maunganui, who was the other lock, something like Morrissey or Morissette or something like that. Anyway, he had a really massive game, just ongoing fighting at the rucks, ongoing pressure, ongoing tackles all day, trying to get to his feet, making sure that he kept Cambridge honest. Like, and that's where I kind of like that battle between Jack James and Dylan Norville against Luca, was that all 3 of those locks were continuously fighting the whole game, making sure that their guys were winning their position and winning that battle up front, and like making sure that they stayed competitive. Because I think in that game, even though the score was 43-15, the feeling that they were playing with wasn't quite one-sided that the score portrayed. It always felt like Maunganui were like attacking the whole time, and I think that's kind of where Maz and Mikey came into it, was that those 2 were non-stop all the time. Especially Mikey, like the way the amount of balls that he ran and the meters that he made, like just the tackles that he was breaking. I thought there was going to be a point where he would just get a runaway, because he was just doing that so many times. And like sometimes, like even when he would make breaks, there just wasn't enough support around him to make sure you got 2 or 3 different offloads off that. Or even like he would make a break, tackled, and the clean out came straight away. And that was kind of like the problem that Maunganui had, is that their clean out wasn't as efficient, because one time they would have 1 or 2 guys there trying to do it, and then the rest they would have almost all 7 guys all trying to do it. It'd be like, hey, you got to spread this out. Like, you can't just be fighting there, all of you at once. It's like, trust that some guys are going to make that 3 guys can take care of it. You know, trust that they can do it. And if those 3 guys can't do it, it's just like maybe you should reevaluate those 3 guys. So the Maunganui were like making breaks, but then we were running out of players, or making breaks and then they had no shape for their next attack, and there were guys still trying to get back. And Cambridge were just defensively just all over them, and defensively were so strong. And I thought that I actually thought Cambridge got better from when I saw them, where they were playing sort of the small games that they were playing a couple of Saturdays ago. And so like I guess like progression is all you want when you come into a season, and Cambridge kind of looked like that. And so it was good to sort of see that kind of level of game. And I don't know if I'll see them again. I'm not too sure down the line what other games that they have that I can make it to, but there were definitely some really sharp players in there that hopefully Bay of Plenty under 18s or under 16s, or you know, Waikato under 18s or 16s, get to at least give them a chance to trial out, you know, those kind of things, and just have a look at what they can do.
Go, boy.
The girls game, so Hamilton girls, Auckland girls came down, and Ags had just played on that Monday, and they had a big win. I can't remember who they played. Might have been like Southern Cross or someone like that, or Epsom. Can't really remember, but they had already played a game on the Monday, played on the Wednesday down in Hamilton, and I think some of the girls had league on a Thursday night, I think it was. But the score was just too far out. It was like 48-5 when it finished, and there was an injury when it finished, and so they called the game off. Rightfully so. I mean, like, sometimes like I feel like with preseason, and this is what those girls are going through, is it's like, you know, like some girls you should just take off. Some players you should just take off. Not just girls. Some players you should just take off. Especially when the game is wrapped, or if you've lost the game and you're just like, there's no use putting her back out there. Or continues like, and they rightfully called it off because there's a long season for both of those teams. We already knew who the better team was, being that far ahead, and so like what they did was great. You know, just making sure that put the girls, you know, safety first. But in terms of how the game went, is that you have two different makeups of team, where Hamilton girls, like, they weren't as big, but they were a lot more organized. They were a lot more, they used the ball a lot more. They made sure that the ball did the work instead of keeping it in hand a lot. Like sometimes, and not all girls are like this, but sometimes girls are too scared to pass the ball. And I've noticed this sometimes, that they're not confident enough to pass the ball, they're not confident enough to, or sometimes their thinking stops once they have the ball in their hand, because they feel like, oh, this is the end game, is when the ball is in my hand, then I just get to run it. Instead of like getting the ball, but even before getting the ball, assessing like what options you have, getting the ball into your hands, and then either deciding for yourself, should I run or take the, you know, if I run into the tackle, I'll just set it up for my next players, or if I should give the ball out wide. And there's the problem with this game to me, was that there was a lot of problems with some of these girls in the Ags team not realizing that there were a lot more opportunities on the outside, that if they just made one more pass and someone just straightened up, they would get a lot further down the field. Some of these girls just took it into the tackle, where I thought, well, you're isolating yourself already. And this might just be one of those things where you're going, these girls just don't know it. They're just still pretty new to the game. They're not really reading it the way most players would read it, but they took it into the tackle usually by themselves. The Hamilton girls were too active around the ruck that even when the girls came to clean out, which a lot of them didn't do, and I'm not too sure if they're not comfortable with it or they don't like that kind of contact, because cleaning out is like, are you comfortable with it or not? Even the one clean, like when you're cleaning out, sometimes you don't want to hurt yourself. Like people just have that in mind. Instead of, and then you get the others who just try to throw their body at it and then smash whoever's there. Some people just don't have that. Worried about their face, worried about other injuries, all that kind of stuff. Auckland girls were kind of like that, where their person would take it into tackles and then they didn't want to clean out properly to the point where they were cleaning them right out of the situation, where they weren't in contact with the ball or with the ruck. And then Hamilton girls were just so active, and they've got a couple of girls there just fighting to get to the ball, and most of the times they were turnovers. And like, it had nothing to do with girls coming in from the side or like releasing. Hamilton girls were just too fast. There was two girls or one girl making a tackle. Once she hit the ground, two others would come over straight away. It was that fast that some of those Auckland girls just couldn't react that fast. And some of them weren't on that sort of mindset of like, oh, she's taking on, I better be the first to clean out. Let's clean out, or getting two other people clean out, one girl trying to fight by herself, trying to get these girls off. It's like, yeah, one's hard enough. You can't have two. You're not Wonder Woman trying to fight these two girls off. And that's what they got stuck with. And then once these turnovers happened for Hamilton girls had a number. I don't have the team sheet, but the number 8 was just solid. The number 8 with the first 5 and second 5 were a really good combination. The open side had a real massive game. The prop had a massive game, as well as the hooker. And then the two wingers and the fullback were really, really, really sharp runners, and just worked, even non-stop working. Like, I like wingers that work and that go looking for stuff to do, not just hang out on the edge and go, hey, when are you going to pass me the ball? These girls did work, and they got a couple of turnovers as well. On the Auckland Grammar side, the fullback that they started off with that had the blue headgear, I would have put her into second 5, because they had a really good first 5, who was real sharp. She was so smart, and that was the other thing. The first 5, to me, she was on another level with a few of the other girls. And the first 5 will see something, try and pull in girls to play the space instead of playing the players, and the other girls just didn't understand. Because I remember I think I might have it on one of my films or one of my clips that I took, and she was trying to tell two girls to swap around, and then one girl lead and the other one stand behind, but swap those two around, and the two other girls that she was talking to just couldn't get it. They didn't understand what she was trying to say. And she was right, because she saw a mismatch in the way that they were lined up on the defensive side of Hamilton girls, and what she was trying to do was make them play sort of the same lane, and the other two girls just didn't get it, and so she just played it straight up and just thought, okay, just crash ball. I thought it was the first 5 and the fullback who was there first, if she played second 5 or she even played center, because there was another girl who I thought was really good as well. I can't remember what number she was, and she did a lot of hit-ups too. She's a real strong runner. She was another one I thought was good, as well as their number 8, who was really good as well. But I put it down to pace and fitness for the Hamilton girls side, and their technique was just a lot better. And I thought that Hamilton girls showed that as well. And like I think sometimes, because a lot of those girls from Hamilton girls are there from last year, and they've already played like a few games for Hamilton girls already. They had a few players out that didn't play that they must have been injured, but they was once they get into it too, it adds another level of rhythm and flow to their game, because the girls that were sitting out like pretty key players, whether they're playing halfback or first five, I'm not too sure. But yeah, it was a cool game to go and see. It was a cool game to go and see girls rugby. And like my thing with girls rugby is that because I'm here in Hamilton, in Hamilton we play on Wednesdays, and so I'm going to try and make it to more Wednesday games here for the Hamilton lot. But on the Mondays, I'm trying to free up my Monday so that I can come up to Auckland and then watch the Auckland games, and they're usually at 4 o'clock. I heard that St. Kinnigan's have a team now too, which is real cool to see St. Kinnigan's have a team, and now they don't have to sort of combine with somebody else. But that's what I'm working with now. I'm trying to get up to Auckland games on a Monday because I want to see teams like, you know, Westlake Girls, Rangitoto, Southern Cross, obviously Auckland Girls and Mags. I want to see those teams, you know, Manurewa and that. And then also when our Chiefs Manawa competition up down here starts up, where I'm able to see like Sacred Heart girls from New Plymouth and Hamilton, New Plymouth girls, Rotorua, all those kind of places too. And then, you know, as it goes on, I want to, you know, obviously you want to try and get to other places as well. But yeah, I want to try and cover as much girls rugby as I can. Obviously the boys is the priority, but if I can make it to these girls games, then I'm going to push myself to make it. And not drive when I'm too tired, because that doesn't do anything good for anybody. The other other game that I went and saw, this is so I went and saw a 1B game, and I purposely went to Otahuhu because I was across the road from King's College, and I knew King's was going to be a packed game, and so I kind of wanted to get there a little bit early. So I went to Otahuhu and Howick. Howick was the team that I wanted to see. Howick has got such a strong base now of players, and I hope that they keep this up. I hope that Howick builds this program with the boys teams and keeps these players coming through like they have right now. And I thought, like, I knew that I went to go and see Otahu's lock, the number 4. I can't remember what his name is. I want to say Tavita, but that sounds like a stereotype. But he's a big Tongan dude, real athletic, and it showed even yesterday, like when he was trying to, and like the thing is that the number 4 played the best. He made the most mistakes, and the reason why is because he's trying to do too much. And like when you have good players like that, that's just what they do. And so even though he had the best game, he made the most mistakes, and he was trying to push things to make things happen, and Howick were just too good. They were just too good, and that number 4 I thought was like a really good player. And in another program, like if he was at Kings and he got to play alongside, you know, Jacob Carter, fuck, that would be so mean. You know, put him next to, you know, Junior from St. Kinnigan's, you know, Langalanga Slade. Put him next to him. You know, bring him down here to like one of our, you know, one of these teams down here, and Waikato and the, you know, Hamilton Boys or St. John's or something like that. And he would just be such a different player. But I understood why he was making those mistakes, and he was trying to push it. He was pushing it, but he was trying to help his team. What I understand is that the Otahuhu team was a young team anyway. They had a really good 15s last year, I think it was, or the year before, and these guys are just trying to come through right now. like there's this other kid, Sam Fruin, probably not related, but I know he's a prop, and I saw him at I think Auckland under 16s, and he played really good too. And so like they have all these guys that are coming through like that who are sort of the next ones trying to take over. But this lock, he was such a good player. Howick was just too strong. Israel Coffey had a massive game. A lot of the things that they ran through him, he was just too hard to put down. He was too hard to contain. He ran like really good angles and was given really, really good ball to take up. And the fact that him, Levi, the open side, oh my gosh, starts with an A. Too many names. They did a lot of the work in that, and then the other one was, I think it was Lance was the other one too. The lock. Just really, really good stuff around the field. And then once it got through Hendricks, who I don't know if he's a bit of halfback or first five, but either or, like he's such a smart player, he's such a good player. Once it got through there, and then Dylan got the ball, Dylan Penderson, he had a massive game. Just too big and too fast to stop. Making sure that you had a plan for him. I don't think Otahuhu had a plan for him. Definitely didn't have a plan for Israel Coffey, because it was just one of those ones where Israel didn't really have anyone sort of scoping him out the whole time. I think that was the problem, is that they just let him get away from what he wanted to do. They just let him get away with it. They sort of gave him the access. Like after a few runs, you would be able to sort of like go, hey, let's try and lock down on this guy. Let's try and maintain where he's coming from. Let's try and at least identify where he's standing, and that you just cut off those lanes where you think he's going to go. But for the most part, like, they just didn't do that, you know? Like, for the most part, they were just, like, sort of letting him go through. And it was kind of a little bit frustrating to watch. I mean, sometimes you, like, I guess there were different things that I wanted them to do that they just weren't identifying. And the other thing is that the coaches weren't identifying it. I could hear them from the sideline, I could hear them from that, and the boys just weren't listening. And Israel just got too many running lanes to stop. And then the other thing is that Levi Fo was out there hanging around the midfield as well. And then even when he got the ball, he was just sort of picking off options. He was turning the ball inside, he was skipping outside, he just took the ball in. Then obviously when it got to Hendricks and Dylan, it was just too much. I think it was too much. The pace was too fast for them, and they're just too organized. And the weird thing is that, like, Otahuhu had the players, and sometimes I think, like, when I'm on the sideline, I always trying to identify if is this a players thing that they don't understand what's going on, or is this a coaching thing that they haven't really prepared them well enough? And sometimes I think it might be a bit of both. Like, definitely the way that Otahuhu warmed up, I wasn't really impressed with how they warmed up, because they had the starting 15 warming up, and then the reserves were like in the try line area just kicking and passing the ball around and joking around, and I'm just not used to that. I'm not used to seeing that kind of stuff with and I think sometimes, like, I have this thing about Otahuhu College, because when I was young, they were the team to beat. They had these two props, Simon Lemalu and Junior Po Ching, and those two were the two props, and they were the two New Zealand secondary school props as well. I think Aurenia IE was part of that, or the year before that he was part of that. But these two props, they pretty much carried this team and they were just unstoppable. And so I kind of have this like thought of what Otahuhu College used to be, and Otahuhu College was always a 1A team. And in my mind, Otahuhu College should be the same as what De La Salle College is. They have all the talent in the world. Even when I looked at their players, I go, physically, you guys are exactly what we want our first 15 to look like. You guys all look like you guys are fast. You guys all look like you move well. Probably like a little trimming up, I guess, but that just comes along with the program. And so like I always kind of wonders like what is going on. I mean, they had an open side that ran well. I feel two of their props were really, really good and active, fit. And that was the other thing, is that the two props were fit. They were big fellas, but they were fit. And I thought, flip, well, they're always involved. They're getting there. It's just like maybe it's just technique, maybe it's just positional technique. But it's not like they couldn't hang with these guys at Howard College. And so for me, it's like the way that I think about it is just like maybe this team just needs to commit, and then maybe it's just the players. Maybe the players need to commit to each other that, hey, let's set a goal of either just making the finals or making the semis, maybe not losing a game until we get set in our pools, and then we just go from there. But it had nothing to do with talent. It didn't even have to do with size. Like, I just thought that maybe it was more a directional thing where they didn't understand what their goal was as a team to get the ball over the line. I did not find that Otahuhu College had enough ball in hand. That was the other thing, is that I didn't feel like they had enough ball in hand. And like I usually tell it, like when I'm taking photos, if I'm always taking photos of just one side, and I look back at my photos and I sort of remember moments that I had in the game, and that's kind of how I recall players and recall plays and stuff like that. I'll look back at when I was like taking those photos. Most of the time, if I'm taking photos and I see the ball in the hand of just one team all the time, I always start to think, oh yeah, and then I look back on my footage and I go, oh yeah, why are these guys, even when they had the ball, they lost it pretty much straight away. Even when there was not, I wish I recorded, because I don't think that there was a time where they even put maybe 4 or 5 faces together. And I don't think that they had that kind of access to the ball and access to making sure that they were in control of the game at some point. I don't think Howick had any kind of problem with that. And so sometimes it's hard to like sort of evaluate how I see Otahuhu, and maybe I have to look at them not as a team but as individuals. But I definitely know that they can do better than what I saw on Saturday. And maybe it is just like a reality check for them to go, maybe ask the question of themselves, is like, well, are we all in this? I think sometimes teams don't really ask the question of like, oh yeah, we all made the first 15, that's cool. It's like, well, how committed are we to be all in the first 15? Because I'm committed. Like, everyone has to say, yeah, I'm really committed. Like, meaning like, I want to get here on time to training. I want to do my work so I don't get in trouble, so I can actually play and come to trainings and, play on the Saturdays. Like, are we willing to, sacrifice some stuff in our daily life so that we can, put more effort into the team? Like, things like that is like all those kind of things that all those other boys from other teams do. Maybe Otahuhu just don't have that yet. Maybe they haven't talked about it yet, or maybe there's half the team that's committed and the other half the team is just like, hey man, I just got something to do on Saturday, or my dad said I have to play. All those kind of things. But Howick was definitely a treat to watch. Exactly what I kind of thought they were going to be. And I think, and I hope that Howick continue on this this growing that they're doing within the school of just rugby. And I hope they keep developing players and that they're keeping their players around. If your team has a good program, even if you're in the 1B, if you have a good program, you can still get players into your rep teams even from really good programs, and you know, it always helps out as well. And so hopefully the Blues go along and see you know, these two teams as well, and then make sure that they get a shout out, because you know, they're definitely teams that you should want to watch. So because of the scoreline, you know, it was so bad. Like I just left, and then, you know, I think I left like 15 minutes ago, headed over to King's College, and like obviously King's was like my my pick, and I knew that they were going to win. Like I knew that, oh well, I didn't know they were going to win, but my pick was that they were going to win. 36-22 was maybe probably a bit too much points. I didn't think it was going to be like that, but I also didn't think that Sacred was going to hang around. And Sacred could have won. I actually had that thought that Sacred could have won. And I thought the penalty try yellow card was one of them. I thought that was like going to be one of those moments, and because when I was watching the game, I thought that Sacred Heart had really good control of how the pace of the game was played, and they didn't wait, they didn't hang back. The loose trio battle between both teams was the best to watch. Like Cruz Simpson, Opeti and Eti were just so. All three of them from Sacred Heart were just massive, and Etikini Halu, like from even right down to the end where he made a break right at the end, and just pulled up on a hamstring or like a calf muscle. He just, you know, and right from the beginning of the game to then, he was just on it all day. So physical, so strong, invited the contact. Even Opeti was the same, and just as active as he was. And then the only problem, even with Cruz, like how many times he hit the line, the only problem is that Johan Shumkor was so everything. I don't even know what to say. He was just everything on the field. From making tackles, getting over the ball, running the ball, taking hits, you know, things like that. He was chasing down everybody. Even at the back of the lineouts behind Jacob Carter, like he was just cleaning up everything. And like I knew that he was going to be a factor. I didn't realize how big of a factor he was going to be in this game. And it was so cool to watch, because I mean, potentially you have, you know, Sione, Jacob, and even like Marco being New Zealand secondary school players. And I honestly think after seeing this game, Johan is probably another one. And the open side discussion around the country is a few guys, but they're all like really elite. Like Arlo's another one from Westlake Boys. Dan is another one from Liston College. You know, like he's another one that's way up there too. You know, there's all these guys, like obviously Jake Hutchings is another one. You know, all these guys from around the country But the way Johan played, I was just like, man, that is what our New Zealand secondary school open sides sort of need to look like. And just everything that he was doing. And I hope Waterboy does like a highlights thing of him, because Waterboy does it so good. But just how much work that he went through, there was a lot of things that Kings got saved because he was there. Even Jacob Carter was so good as well, like just his physicality as well. And I can kind of understand, because Jacob has been off on injury, didn't play. I don't think he played any preseasons, or he played maybe minutes here and there. But in this game, he was just throwing everything at it, and he was so physical for a guy that's just been injured and just coming back. I thought, oh, maybe he'd be a bit ginger about it, and just like, but nah, man, Jacob was everything in that game too. And because Johan did what he did, Jacob was able to do what he. Even Marco was so impressive. And the thing is, like, it was so cool that because Marco was impressive, and you know that he's always going to be. But the fact that Keanu Simpson actually replied back to the countering what he was doing, I was like actually impressed that Keanu kept up with it. And there was only like a few things that Keanu, I thought, made wrong decisions of, or maybe took it in when he should have passed it. Like just little things like that pretty much offset his game to what Marco was doing. But Keanu was like impressive too. It was so cool to see him respond to what was going on, because Liston is going to be Liston every single time. Liston is the halfback. Vicolta is a halfback, Liston Vicolta, and he is so fast, and he's like another guy that I think will be used in secondary schools come the end of the year. But Liston is always going to be Liston, and he'll get you the ball, and he'll make sure you find, he'll give you that time to make some decisions. Whatever you do with that, it's up to you. To me, Keanu was making the right decisions, and it was good that Max Morgan was at the back and that was doing what he did, because it also sort of had that added confidence that it's like, oh yeah, well, if Max is at the back, and Liston's getting me the ball, I'm having all this time, Suania is right there with me, I can make sure that I can, I have people backing me up around me. And I saw that Keanu, the way that he was controlling his side of the ball, making sure that everyone was getting their runs and all that kind of stuff, that to me was like pretty impressive too. And it was hard too, because Johan was right there. Ethan was like right there as well. Like Ethan had such a big game too. Hemana was the same. But Johan and Ethan were just so physical and so in your face that when it came down to sort of like the nitty gritty stuff and why things didn't pan out the way I would look at Johan and how much he disrupted the game. And then on the other side, like Calvin Harris-Tavita just had a massive game too. So bloody confident, that kid, and so sure of himself. And I like that he's got a short memory. Like he did this one where he did a bomb and it didn't really go anywhere. It sort of pretty much just went up and then came back, and the wind caught it, flew back on his side, and then he just played it again. They just got the ball back and he played it again. Like he wasn't worried about what mistakes he made or anything like that. And Calvin's attack at the line, drawing in so much attention, and he's got such good timing, he's got such good timing and reading of defenders. The way that he holds the ball, and has that timing of, oh, I know what he's going to do, I'll just give it, and then he just holds it, and then he just drops the pass, and there's like always these small little gaps that get them over that line, that advantage line that they need to get through. And he was just so good like that, and he just mixed his game up from kicking to taking it on the line, and passing, getting it through, putting in the little kicks, things like that. He read the game really well, sort of down the field, and it helped that Marco didn't have to do everything in that sort of way. And then when they had a good exchange where if Calvin went up, Marco was dropping back, Marco did the same thing as well. It was just like taking on whatever was in front of him, and then just read it on from there. And so like when it came to these breaks, that's why you saw like Ryan Young get a few breaks too. Joseph had it. Fatuvalu was another one too. He had a good defensive game. I thought he had a really good defensive game, because even Finn Nauru had like a really good game for Sacred Heart from the wing. And then what's his name? The year 11 that came on. I think it was Ollie Anderson. When he came on, he scored his try. Try or tries? Try. Oh, he played really good too. Scored him in the corner. I couldn't really see because the crowd was there as well. But yeah, it was so good. It was such a good game. Really, really good game to see. Really good game to go and sort of be a part of. I guess Sateki and Sione's sort of battle was really good. Those both just big props going at each other. Sione had a solid game. Nothing like over the top that I thought he would have, but he had like a solid game. Never made mistakes or anything like that. I thought Charlie and Anthony had a good one at the two hookers. They had a good back and forth with each other. Even when what's his name, Chris Hatch came on too. He was good coming off the bench, keeping it going, all that kind of stuff. And then like I really like Christian Collins. Like he's like I noticed him too when he against Southland as well as Napier, and just his mongrel that he has. Not flash or anything like that, but he just gets the job done. And like you need a lot of these guys. Like, it's cool having like these flash guys and all these guys that are like, bound for glory or whatever. But you just need some of these hard-nosed fellas that just, I don't care what happens, I'm just here to do my job and tick off my boxes so that it can give my team the best chance to win. And I feel like he's one of those kind of guys. So a big shout out to him. Big shout out to like the game that he had. I did think the game was impressive. I was thinking Sacred Heart was really going to pull this one off, and then that second half it was just too much for them. And yeah, because I felt like Sacred Heart controlled a lot of the game and had a lot of the ball, and then just when Kings had it, they just picked their moments, and they just picked the right ones to do, the right moments to have, and they just made it work for them every time they got the ball. And you can have, I guess you can have the ball as many times as you want in the game, but if you're not going to do anything with it, or sometimes teams are just stagnant. Sometimes teams get frustrated and they just do the same thing over and over again, instead of having these guys that will switch it up. Maybe if Keanu switched it up a bit, maybe if Max ran the ball, held the ball in hand a little bit longer. And I like watching Max run. Him and Calvin were just exciting players to watch. And it's definitely going to be a hard one for these winger fullbacks once the Blues and the 18s get selected, because there's a bunch of them, and especially in the Auckland region, there's a bunch of them that are really, really good. And those two should be like one of the top ones to look at in terms of that Blues under 18s, because that Blues under 18s is going to be really strong. Like most years, like I'm not even like with the Blues under 18s and them winning or being the stronger region, because like most of the time they're not. I know a lot of Aucklanders will be like, yeah, but we're Auckland. It's like, yeah, bloody hell, who cares? This year, I actually think Blues have the strongest under 18 team, just based on like selections that they have. And like obviously you can tell by my rankings too, where Auckland's heavy in the rankings, up towards the top 10. It's the same thing. Like I just think that the Blues under 18s this year probably have the strongest under 18s team. And then like obviously add in the 1A, and then you have Westlake boys who are just a massive team to contribute, with talent. But yeah, that was a pretty mean game to watch, and I was glad I went to that one. I've got to find some other teams that I've got to go and see as well when I get up to Auckland. So also, like, if you guys got film, send me the film so I can watch it. I'm not sharing this stuff. Like, people got to understand this. I don't share videos. I share if it's on YouTube because it's a public thing. If it's a private, if I'm getting sent private YouTube games from teams, which I do get a lot of, I don't share them with people. I just keep it to myself. I don't want to break that trust with people that are trusting me with their footage. It's like, nah, I keep that all to myself. So please send me the footage, because I want to watch rugby from all over. Like, even watching like the Wellington game.
Are you so close? Get somewhere, mate.
Wellington game, and which is the first big upset of the year, is watching that game, is that Hastings and Wellington game. And the thing is that I thought Hastings was going to win, because I actually think Hastings is better than Napier. And the Hastings that I've seen in the preseason was so different from the Hastings that I watched in that game. And Wellington played so good. Beetham was good. Cadius was good. Archie was good. Like all these guys that... Neve was good. Like, I thought Wellington from the start, especially from that try, obviously there was like tries in the first 5 minutes, and I'm gonna post this up. I'll post up the game because Huddy Sports does a good production of the games that they put out. And if you watch it, the scoring is fast and it's early, and then the grind out time is the time that, like, to me, I like to watch. It's like when it becomes stagnant, like what else is going to happen? Like, what are you going to do when the game gets stagnant? After all the scoring excitement, everybody's in the game again. Like, what happens? Like, that's what I like to do, and like I like to watch it from there. And to me, Wellington just made more of the opportunities based on their defense. Even though there was times where they got caught up for penalties and stuff, I thought that they made their presence known a lot when it came to the rucks. They put on a lot of pressure and never let off. Archie put in some bombs and some kicks, tested these guys out. Triumph played really well, guys like that, and Izzy as well played good. But I think Wellington took them off their game, because they weren't the same kind of outfit that I was used to watching. And even the things where, like, the two Wellington boys in the midfield pushed up of set pieces, they pushed up real quick, push up, held their line, and then made some good decisions on tackling. Never went to ground. Even on the defensive side, got turnovers, and then you would have things like where Zacadius will come take a ball or two, Beetham will come take a ball or two. The guys. Who's the other one? That's number 17 prop that came on too. I thought he had a good game. But they kept it within the range of how they played. And they weren't trying to be too flash or anything either. They just applied pressure and then saw what Hastings would do. And Hastings was not like adjusting to it well. You know, like I thought that Hastings would do better in the way that they saw those situations, because like even Bentley, the halfback, I thought he had a really sharp game too, and made sure that the ball got out, because like really you want your ball to get out to Shea, and then Shea with Neve, like Campbell, you want the ball to be out there and to spread the field a bit, but then also make sure defenders know that, if you're gonna mark up against Shea, you gotta be on your toes the whole time, because he's not only gonna like step you or make you work for a tackle, he's also gonna offload and look for those options. And like there was a lot of I think it was like one time when they came to the right side of the field, they'd drawn everyone over the other side, came to the right side, spread it all the way across, and then I think Neve was the one that got it, and that was off Shea, pulling everyone right, took him on the outside, and then passed it back in, and then Neve just sort of had like a 5-7 meter run or something like that. But it was always set up on spreading the ball wide, using quick hands to get all the way out there, and then Shea on the outside was just there doing what he did. And then Hastings' reaction to that was just a bit too jittery and overplaying everything, and like just not really as calculated as I remember seeing them in the preseason. What this does though is that like it puts Wellington in the confidence space that they are also a top 5 team. Beating a top 5 team, they're also in that range of a top 5 team talent. They should act and play with that same kind of thing, because they've got to come up against Hamilton soon in the Moeska game. I'm not sure if it's this weekend or next weekend, but they're going to be playing against Hamilton boys, and I hope that they bring that same energy when they come up against Hamilton boys and try and beat Hamilton boys to take that Moeska Cup, because they have to now think, we're a top 5 team in the country. Now if they can take out two Super 8 teams and take a Moeska Cup, that definitely defines them as being a top 5 team in the country. And they can look at Hastings boys, or they can look at Sacred Heart, they can look at Kings, they can look at St. Kennigan's and go, we belong at the top of those guys. And when we get to play them, however that's going to be, whether it's in top 4 or whatever, that they also have the confidence to beat them too. And that should be the mindset of these boys, and I hope that they have that mindset as well. I mean, you got to understand, as I was like, if you're new to this, Cole is not has a proud history of winning. It just hasn't been in like the time of top 200. After Nelson and Solomeno left with West Goosen and them, after that, those teams of 2013 and 14, from 2015 onwards, just hasn't been the same. And it's only last year and this year have been the only ones that have really seen their talent come back. And whether it's down to the fact that they have Nemir as their coach and help from Pity in that, it's like, if that's the case, it's like, then it works. I also like the fact that ex-players and All Blacks have come back to this level of rugby, getting their shot to give direct information of what it's like to be an All Black, and the way that and the attitude that you should have to be in those positions, and give it straight to these boys at first 15 level and get them prepared for that. Because most of these boys in their mind want to be that player. They want to be Nemia Tialata and Piri Wipu and wear the black jersey and all that kind of stuff. Reality is only 5% or 3% are going to make it. But it doesn't mean that those lessons don't add on to your life and guide you in all the other endeavors that you have, because you can also apply it to, like, your business and your academics and your careers and all that kind of stuff. And I think they'll take a lot away from coaches like that, and coaches that are around the country that have been professionals. I know that, like, even I know 100%, like, Nemir probably wasn't too happy with the way that Hastings scored, like, their second try, where it was just like a tap turnaround and it was just like nothing to it. Like, you know, it was just like a turnaround and then they sort of just bashed over the line. I know that there's like one of those things was like we can't let them score easy points like that. For Hastings, it worked out right, and on the other side, it's just like it's frustrating having something like, you know, a try like that happen. And so the upset was great. Like upsets are cool. It's supposed to happen. Like, just because you're ranked, you know, somewhere doesn't mean that you should win the game. You still have to get up on the field and put your mouth guard in and then see what happens. You know, or, you know. Oh, that's the other thing. Bloody bring your mouth guard, you boys. What the hell's your problem? Honestly, you overturn, you get a penalty, you get a yellow card, just because you don't want to wear a mouth guard or you don't want to bring it. Like, I'm not sure if that's worth it, that you're going to get a yellow card for that, or that you're going to get overturn a penalty just because of that kind of stuff, and then have everyone on your team give you crap like, bloody hell, bro, where's your mouth guard? Like, why don't you bring your mouth guard and boots? That's all you need to bring, mouth guard and boots, and you can't even bring that sometimes. You know, it's like, and like, mouth guards aren't expensive like they were back in the days. Back in the days, it used to be like $20 just to get a mouth guard. I've seen some for $5. Like, I don't know, like, earn some money at school for $5. I don't know, sell something, win something, I don't know, but bring a mouth guard and wear them. Are you gonna have jacked up teeth like all your other uncles and whatever from like getting bashed in the mouth, taking too many hooks and foreheads to the chin and all that kind of stuff that happens, shoulder in the mouth? Anyways, that's it. 1 hour. I thought this was going to be short. Didn't happen that way. Anyways, next week got some big games. I'm going to figure out a couple more things that I want to bring out on YouTube or TikTok and Instagram, and I'll post them up. Shorter ones, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. All right. If you got questions, let me know. I'll answer them straight away, and I'll make videos out of them because I'm guessing a whole bunch of other people have the same questions. Anyways, love you all. Later, ball.